I'm Dave Tevenal. That's who I am. I work in New York City, primarily at a studio called Sacred, which has been in the New York area for 27 years. It was the first studio that I ever worked at in New York when I first started coming out there. I had worked at a few others in New York City with friends, Top Shelf and No Idols and Red Baron, and now I'm back at Sacred. Sacred, I worked probably the bulk of my time in New York, and I was lucky enough to come back with Kevin and the crew there, and it's pretty awesome, a lot of fun.
You going from shop to shop really introduced us to a lot of different artists. I mean, like I don't think we knew about Grant, and Grant does amazing work. I mean, we are always following him. We love the work that he does. So we learn about a lot of artists through you.
No Idols has a lot of really good guys. Matt Triano, Matt Buck, John Mesa. Gabe at No Idols is amazing. That dude's one of my low-key faves on the real. Like, I love his stuff a lot. I work at Memento in Columbus also. I'm there about a week a month. And sometimes longer stretches for holidays and stuff because my daughter's out that way. Those guys are all super good. Scott Santee, Carrie Aldridge, Iggy Sweeney, Caleb Led.
It's a great shop.
Dude, Jeremy Dameron. Like, we got a really good group.
You're constantly putting out graffiti, tattoos, canvases, art. I mean, you have a work ethic that I think a lot of people that strive to have. You're killing it constantly. How do you maintain that high volume of output?
These days, it's behavior based at this point. Like, if I'm not working on something or creating something, I feel a little empty. I don't have a really good ability to relax or enjoy the moment. So that's like the kind of drawback from having that much of having that high level of productivity. It just kind of makes me go, and I kind of have to be forced by, like, my loved ones to calm down a little bit and enjoy the moment when it comes down to stuff. And I try my best to do that. I'm balancing things, and I think that's, with a lot of creative people, that's the lifelong goal. It's a lifelong battle, is trying to find a balance. I think that's it's one of the biggest struggles I have. A lot of it is just like throughout my day, like, I go to the studio and I'll tattoo if I have stuff booked. When I'm home, I'm working on a few different pieces. I have a process to a lot of my stuff, so that lends itself to making things quicker. Not a lot of things are surprising me because I use my set supplies and my paper pieces. I work on multiple spray paint canvases at a time, so I'll block in the color on 4 or 5, and I'll cycle through a couple and start doing line work, and I always make sure that pile has an additional few more blocked in color pieces, so like it's almost like it's a machine or a press to that degree. With the digital stuff that I'm doing, I can work on that in the train ride into work every day, I can work on that off time between appointments, breaks. So I trickle little parts of what I can do when I can do it, just to buy time. When I'm traveling, I'm drawing on the iPad. Doing murals, I would love to do more of them, but it's always a matter of, like, always got to do those on days off. Or it's got to be a situation where I'm coming out for that specific event to do a mural, or large-scale canvas work. Like a Tattoo the Lou. I had to take the entire Saturday off to do that large 6-foot painting. When I went to the Kingpin customer appreciation event, that was 3 days of painting, and that was a trip directly just for that, where all my attention was thrown at that one thing. So yeah, it's a lot of volume, it's a lot of work, and it's a process more so these days. And where I can comfortably push myself the most, I feel, is illustration work on paper, and that's the times where I sit down at home, block everything out, work on my art, and that's where I find a lot of my inspiration now, and that bleeds into everything else as I find out new things with that.
You do a lot of graffiti, as I just said, tattooing. What's your favorite canvas, or what's your favorite medium to work on?
My favorite medium, that's the most liberating, that just, like, I can completely shut the world out and focus on it, and it feels good to the soul, is a large-scale canvas work with spray paint. It's I have the leisure to work on it, within a comfortable environment at my home, in my backyard, and it pacifies my need to spray paint on things, and I can do that on a canvas. And that's probably the one I'm the most passionate about, and they're huge pieces, so they look cool, they feel good when they're done.
Yeah.
You know, you feel like you've accomplished something because you have, you know, a 3 or 4 foot by 3 or 4 feet canvas.
They're huge.
And it feels good to have that hanging up. And where I get the most eureka moments, though, because I'm kind of torn, it's like a 50-50 between these two things, where I get the most eureka moments and where I'm like, I feel like I'm learning more about art, and I get excited a lot, and is the illustrations on paper, and the comic book art that I do and stuff like that. That's the stuff that like I end up feeling like I implement a lot of what I learn at events like these, in drafting and stuff like that. So
you're always, I see you live streaming a lot on Instagram and doing YouTube videos to try to give back to the community, to try to explain to people what your process is. How do you typically do that? I'm just trying to get you to expand more about that.
So the YouTube channels I've been wanting to do for a while. I've been told by a lot of my friends that are artists that also create content that I need to be getting on some type of platform like YouTube or Twitch. Instagram Live is cool. I think Instagram Live though, it's not great for like the long term, like posterity, because it's up for 24 hours. You can choose to save it, but it's always going to be filmed at a vertical format. And I want people to rewatch it.
And it's hard to interact with people while you're trying to draw.
Exactly. That's a tough one. So when I'm making the YouTube videos, I can film an entire session. I got to spend about a day or two editing it, and then I put them up and I shout it out, and people can watch my process pretty much at their leisure. As of right now, there's 4 videos. I need to make more. I've been slacking on that big time. I think the last video that I uploaded was in March. But I want to make videos for the large scale canvases. I have a couple of Procreate ones already filmed. I'm only struggling with the zooming in on where I'm going at with layers and stuff like that, because it's a screen capture directly. So it doesn't get very intuitive for people to see where I'm going, how far I'm zooming in on something. It doesn't show all that.
You almost need a second screen. You almost need to record your screen and edit it together, which is a lot of work.
Yeah, and there's color balance issues that happen, so I don't want to like miss that. You know, I want the colors to look like how I see them on the screen. So.
Especially for free content. I mean, you have very limited time. You're always doing shit, and
it's good though, because I can let people know, like, you know, it's there's always a callback. So if there's any questions, and I get hit with questions every day.
Oh, I know.
And my DMs are literally full of people.
What kind of markers do you use?
What kind of markers you use? What are the supplies that you're using? And I can just recall, or I can get all that information and be recalled back to the videos. I'm also getting flooded with DMs on people that have copied my work and stuff like that. So my DMs are full of a lot of funny stuff.
Outside of tattooing, I know you're very involved in the comic book world. What are you currently working on, whatever you can speak about?
Okay, I just finished a bunch of stuff from Marvel for the stuff they're promoting this year, which is pretty common knowledge. You know, like some of it was Black Panther work. One thing I can't talk about, but for an upcoming show. But I did stuff for Infinity War, just art that they're going to use for whatever purposes.
How did you get involved with Marvel?
They contacted me a little over 2 years ago. 2015's New York Comic Con, I was contacted by them, and my response was, pardon the French, but are you guys fucking serious? And they were very serious, and they wanted me to do like my tattoo types, what I'm known for style-wise in tattooing. They wanted me to, you know, do characters and stuff like that in my Illustrator form, in that vein, and I've been doing stuff for them for the last couple of years now.
How has working on comics impacted? I know you're a huge comic book nerd. How has comics in general impacted your tattoo career? And are you seeing a lot more tattoos coming across your plate now that are comic book related?
Yes, I'm doing a lot more pop culture and comic book related tattoos. Sci-fi, comic book related. It's impacted my tattooing. It's a lifelong thing. It's the first literature I ever read as a child was comic books, and it's been with me my whole life. And I've always vowed that one day when I'd make it, I'd get all my comic book collection stuff back, and I've never let go of it. But yeah, it's always been there for me, and it's affected how I look at illustrations. It's what taught me how to draw at a young age, or at least give me the foundation skill sets to draw. And I owe a lot of what I can do art-wise to comics, so that's why it's a big part of me. Yeah, because of me and re-embracing it and being very open about it, the same way I'm very open about my graffiti background with people now, where I used to shun it.
Yep.
It's become a thing that I tattoo more of, and I am tickled pink because of that. I love doing that stuff. So,
biggest fanboy moment in comics?
I've been very vocal about this, meeting Stanley.
Yeah.
Not so much the first time, but the second time in San Diego. I got to do the autograph poster for his autograph signing for Thursday of San Diego Comic-Con.
Nice.
And I got to hang out at a booth next to him, and we were selling prints and stuff. And I shout outs to my friend Jonathan for helping out with all that. Got to hang out with him for 4 days. It was pretty cool. Like it's at the end of each night, back in my hotel room, I was like pinching myself. This is even real. And I will say this, equally as important in comics, they're tied. These two things are tied. I discovered an artist named Trad Moore, and Trad Moore is made me feel like I was reading comics again for the first time. And my girlfriend situated a meet and greet for him and I.
Oh, nice.
And it was, I don't know, I'm getting all like kind of emotional talking about it, but it was like one of the coolest things ever. I own this dude's originals.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite artists, and like Olivia made it all work out to where like we got to hang out and like talk, and it was like the dude follows me now, and it was just like fuck. But Olivia like made one of my like other really cool moments happen in comics, and yeah, meeting Trad Moore is fucking really cool.
Discussion through a lot of the seminars. Well, first of all, you presented this last few days at Explore. What was your presentation about?
A lot of it was my use of anger and negativity as a driving workforce in my productivity. Why my ideologies as of right now come from, and why it's my background, being a graffiti writer and living in various cities and doing that for a very long time, implemented or defined future behaviors and how I handled conflict resolution, or how I jumped into tattooing and treated when people would take stuff from me. General attitude, you know, like I'm a kid from a major city. I grew up in a city environment. I did graffiti. I was exposed to a lot of crazy city life shit and experiences. And when I got into tattooing, that, you know, if shit hit the fan, I was there.
Yep.
What's up? Like, you know, fight or flight. And I'm not trying to flight. Like it's you're kind of I've lived a lot of my life like a corner dog, and that's just kind of what it's like in graffiti, you know. And that kind of negative energy that some people call negative, it was a big driving force. Anger was a driving force in my productivity, my prolificness in making the amount of art that I had, because I treated things like a huge obstacle. I wanted to crush. I wanted to work harder than everybody else. I wanted to make sure that I didn't sacrifice quality for quantity. I wanted both to meet and both elevate, you know. I wanted both to skyrocket as they went up. So it was basically a very personal narrative that explained why I am the way I am, why I'm known for the things I'm known for. We touched on intellectual property, which we touched on earlier. We touched on why I get angry about that kind of stuff. We touched on where each medium came into my career and how it's all basically an implementation of these four things that I work on. And yeah, it was more personal than technical. I think that was different because a lot of the seminars have been very technical seminars, and I felt like people needed to hear a little bit of the more personal side of it.
I felt like you almost used it almost as a personal therapy session, because you were talking about some pretty sensitive subjects in your life and your past and how you deal with them. The topics have gone through everybody's seminars the last couple of days about digital format in tattooing. Where do you see the digital format going? How do you see the digital format affecting tattooing in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think it's going to make people more prepared. I feel like there's going to be more good than bad. I feel like it's going to help tattooers be more prepared. It's going to be able to illustrate to the client where a tattoo would be placed and how it would look on them digitally. It'll help a client understand where the tattoo is going to be placed, how it can look potentially through, like, you know, photoshopping things on and things like that, or like, you know, putting the drawing over a layer over a picture. It's gonna help you make things on the fly. You can be more productive while we're all stuck in an airport or on a train somewhere. Yeah, I think it's going to just help people be more efficient in their creation process.
That makes sense.
The good thing is too, and people don't want to. People think people say it's a crutch. There are people that strictly draw on iPads, don't draw on paper, and that's tough. You got to balance both. If I do at least, I believe that an artist should be able to balance both in real tangible mediums and digital. The good thing is what they're drawing on their iPads inevitably is going to be handmade for a tattoo, or for a painting, or projected on an overhead projector on a wall to become a mural. I think it's another tool that has limitless potential as long as we can keep our power grids running, and it's going to help us out in the future. I see in 5 years just things being way streamlined.
Do you think as a younger artist who is just starting out in this industry, should they focus more on pen and paper to get the fundamentals before moving to digital?
Yes, one complements the other. One precedes the other, and I feel like at the end of the day, no matter where you are, if you're at a restaurant, you got a diner, you got a placemat, and you might have a ballpoint pen in the waitress's pocket or something, and you can just doodle something right then and there. When your iPad dies, you got paper. Paper doesn't run on the battery. You don't need a lightning cable to run your sketchbook. You know what I mean? I think that's cool. And then when you're an iPad can be wiped clean. The clouds can be completely disabled.
Your account can be disabled.
Your account can be disabled. The servers could crash. An EMP can go over the city and take out all the electrical stuff. Too many variables are at play that can completely wipe out what's on your device. You can't delete a sketchbook. You can burn it. That takes forever. You can throw it away. You can misplace it, but it's there. It exists. It's not going to go anywhere. You know, the caves in France were the very first examples of modern graffiti are still there. You know what I mean? And that, 50, 60,000 years ago. So, tangible media, that's a lot harder to get rid of versus what's on there. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's you got to always make sure that that's what you're rooted in, and use this as an accessory. Use the iPad as an accessory to the art that you already know how to make in the physical plane.
We're going to wrap this up. Tell people your 2018 plans, how they can get in contact with you if you ever want to get tattooed, your website, and your Instagram.
Cool. DaveTattoos.com is the website. Dave Tattoos is the Instagram. Facebook.com/DaveTattoos is the Facebook.
Easy enough.
If you want to book in for a tattoo, just know that I do my style of work, and you can book your appointment on my website on your own. And you can leave your deposit there. If you're a pre-existing client or if you've been tattooed by me before, you can choose those options so it doesn't hit you for a deposit. And we can start more projects on you because you've already been badass and got stuff finished before. I'll be at San Diego Comic-Con, the EVO gaming tournament in Las Vegas in August. Awaiting approval for Keystone Comic-Con in Philadelphia, and then I should be at the New York Comic-Con as well.
Okay, cool. Thank you everybody for tuning in. The last question is not something I want to broadcast right now, but thank you everybody for tuning in. We will be back later on today with Justin Hartman and Jonathan Penchoff, hopefully.
Cool.
Dave, thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us. We're a huge fan of your work. Tattoo Snob always loves your work. We love everything you produce.
You guys are one of the first platforms that put me out there to people to see, and I'm forever grateful for what you guys have done for me.
We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.